Welcome back, all my 40K fanatics out there. I'm DJ here with Tim's Nation to bring you another table time. Today we're going to talk about the fight phase, charge phase, the basics, as well as some little intricate details that might have been missed. Now, anyone who knows any of the informational videos that I bring on the channel, I am more than open to all criticism. So if there is any rules that you catch in here that I may have had a misinterpretation to, please leave a comment down below so that we can figure out all this stuff together. These videos are not meant to push or alienate anyone. These are meant to help bring the community together so that we can help build a stronger environment and just stronger play groups in general. I'm not going to say too much on that topic, otherwise I want to jump over and get into the table. I don't want this video to be that long, and I don't know how long it's going to take to go through it because this is the fight phase. Combat, charging, all of it. Probably one of the most complex and complicated things in Warhammer of the past. This is where games can be won and lost because of technicalities, whether we're doing triangle pinning, consolidation moves, pile-in, and stuff like that. To a newer gamer, some of the things that I'm saying may sound like a foreign language. Hopefully by the end of this video, we can get some of that stuff wrapped up and put it together, because there's some very interesting and intricate wording that has occurred in this edition that some people may have missed or misunderstood. So if you are a newcomer to 40K and learning the game, hopefully this video helps you out better to understand the assault and the combat, all that's included in the Warhammer 40K universe. And if you're a veteran of the channel, or a veteran of 40K in general, I should say, please leave comments if I missed something so we can help this community grow. As always, please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Turn on the bell to get notified on all the content that we bring you here on the channel. And that's all I got to say. Let's get over onto the table, because with these videos, I always like to use real models. So let's get to these models and talk about it, what we can learn from the combat in Warhammer 40K. All right, here we go. So we have our squad of Skorpek destroyers and a squad of Necron warriors going into their charge phase. And they're facing down a 5-man squad of Terminators and a 5-man squad of Strike from the faction of Grey Knights. So the first thing we need to do is we need to determine what units are eligible to declare a charge. A unit is eligible to declare a charge as long as it doesn't have the aircraft keyword, did not advance this turn. Now, mind you, there are rules that get around that, but that's why these rules exist, and we're not talking about those right now. So when a unit advances, typically it is not allowed to declare a charge. Or if it is already in engagement range of another unit. In this scenario, none of these units have advanced. None of them are in engagement range. As we can see, they are not within 1 inch, because engagement range is within 1 inch of an enemy unit. And none of them have the aircraft keyword. Unfortunately, Skorpeks are not aircraft. So, actually, that's a great thing. That's a great thing. I'm just kidding. Just kidding. So now we declare a charge. So we're going to declare the Skorpeks are going to charge this 5-man squad of strikes right here. And we got, boom, a 7. So now we successfully can charge. Had we not rolled good, let's say these guys were maybe back a little bit further, I don't know, like back here, and we rolled, I don't know, that, and rolled a 4, we would not be able to make it within engagement range. Here, 4 inches would put our closest guy right there, which is not within engagement range of the strike, which means the charge would fail. In that circumstance, when the charge does fail, you are not allowed to move any of the units. So now we get to move these guys because we did roll a 7, and we are definitely within 7 inches. Now, there's a couple things that we have to keep in mind. Number one, we are not allowed to finish this move within engagement range of a unit that we did not declare for our charge. Also, we have to attempt to get as close as possible with all models. These are some of the rules that are taken into it. Now, you, as the controlling player, select the order of which these models are moved, which can allow you to play some tricks on that. However, you must attempt at all times possible to maintain and get in base contact and maintain coherency. So, what can we do with this here? Well, the easiest thing would be to just move them all forward, be within engagement range of them, and get some guys that can throw attacks in as well, because they'd be within an inch of a model and all that stuff for engagement, which we'll talk about in a minute. So we're going to be a little tricky, and we're going to choose to move the back models first. This will allow us to move the front models a little bit further in different directions. So this guy back here, he's going to move 7 inches, and he's going to come right over there. And now he's in base to base and in engagement range. And now this dude, Meister, back here, is also going to move 7 inches right here. So now we're going to move the Skorpek Lord and his big base. And this is going to matter some more for tricks and tactics later. And he's going to move up he's going to stop at 6 inches so he can get in base contact right here. Now, what this means, this Skorpek over here would not be able to go along this angle. If he does so, he's going to end up within engagement range of this Terminator over here. So to prevent that from happening and make a legal move, he has a maximum of 7 inches that he can move, and he has a choice. He can come up here and stop outside of 1 inch of these guys and still be able to throw in his attacks because of this model here and being of the same unit and close enough, which again, we'll talk about that in a second. Or he can start to pan out and go around this way and start to move further this direction into other targets. We're going to make that even further. So we're going to take this guy, and he's going to move 7 inches here. Now, he did finish his move closer to the unit, but he's currently not within engagement range. This one over here, he's going to go all the way, way out this way, 7 inches. This one is going to do the same thing. He's going to end up going over here. And then this dude right here that we just talked about, he's going to go the furthest. And now he could go all the way around here and start to move this way, but he has to end his move so that he's closer to the unit. And this way here is the same distance that he currently is in. So instead, he's just going to shoot straight over here and make it into combat. And I didn't really move the plasma sight because he doesn't matter, because he's just kind of a token. But now what we've done is, actually, we're going to move this guy over this way, keeping him within 2 inches of that model, as well as over here. So now we've maintained coherency going into these units. And that's going to, and we'll discuss that more in other ways and how this stuff breaks down and what happens as combat resolves. Now, we still have the Necron warriors to be able to charge in, and they could charge into just the Terminators by themselves, or they could charge into the strike as well. We're going to assume they got a 7 as well. Now, these guys are going to declare both. They're going to declare both the warriors and the Terminators. So, with that 7, they need to be able that they finish engagement range with both units. Had they rolled lower, and this warrior at closest was not able to be in engagement range of any models of this unit, but they had enough to get to this unit, the charge fails. You must be within engagement range of all the models that you wish to declare the charge on. The 7 would be plenty to bring this guy up the middle, and now he's over here, but for intensive purposes, we'll say he's not close enough to this guy. That's okay. He can fill in and finish the job. Now, this guy did go into base contact. It doesn't matter that he went from here to here, because he did finish his move in base contact, and at any point in there, he would be okay. And then to make sure that we can maintain that coherency and make everything happy, this guy is going to go here, and we're going to bring these models in over here, and then we'll bring this one down here, which now brings him within 2 inches. He is within engagement range by engagement range rules. And even though he possibly could go over in here in a base, we're going to use these guys ahead of time to move them, they're 7 inches, to keep everything happy and as well maintain coherency too. But we're blocking ourselves from having to go too far by moving those first models where they need to go first, and then the back models as far as they can, and still maintain our coherency so that we've made a legal charge. Now, let's go over into, we're going to reset here real quick, because now we get into the more convoluted of it. Where do we fight? Who do we fight? And how do we fight them? All right, so in this scenario here, we have our Scorpex charged to come save the day with these Necron warriors. So we have these two last little remaining strike marines here that are trying to take our objective from us, and our Scorpex are coming in to clear them out. So they declared their charge. They succeeded, and they are in engagement range. Scorpec Lord is in base-to-base contact, and the other guys moved as far as they could pending the dice roll. So now, because they have completed the charge, they now gain the Fight First ability keyword for their stats this turn. Now, some units may have Fight First already on their data sheets. Others only will gain it with the charge, and again, whenever you charge, you gain Fight First. So now we get to start selecting units to fight with. So it always starts with your opponent. And we start with the Fight First unit. So now, because in this scenario, these Dray Knight Strike do not have the Fight First ability, the only unit that is currently in combat with Fight First would be the Scorpex. So they will get to fight first. So now we declare them as the unit that we wish to fight with. So now, because of that, we have a 3-step process that we need to follow. Step number 1, the pile-in. So the pile-in is dedicated by the unit. If the unit cannot finish its move within engagement range of an enemy unit, it is not allowed to make that move. Where this becomes important and relevant will come into some of the stuff we'll cover at the end, because of the fact that this unit charged. The only units that are eligible to make, fight, pile in, do any of these abilities are either units that are within engagement range or units that made a charge move. So this unit is already in engagement range, which means that it can, by all states of the language, successfully finish a move within engagement range. However, it must try to get all models into base contact, as well as finish its move with models as close as possible. The pile-in move is a 3-inch move, so this Scorpex is going to move in a little closer, as well as this one. And then these ones in the backfield will move up, move up, move up, and move up. So right now, we currently have 3 models in engagement range from the Scorpec unit. This Scorpec here, this Scorpec here, and the Scorpec Lord. The next thing we have to see is who is eligible to make melee attacks. So engagement range has changed based on verbiage in this edition. Engagement range is only a model that is wholly within 1 inch. I'm sorry, not wholly within. Within 1 inch or in base-to-base contact with an enemy unit. So again, these are the only 3 models that are within engagement range at this time. That does not mean they are the only models that get to attack. Melee attacks can be made by any unit that is within engagement range or with a friendly model that is within base-to-base contact of a model from the same unit. Key thing there, from the same unit that is within engagement range. So in this scenario, these 2 Scorpecs are legal to fight. The Scorpec Lord is legally allowed to fight. This Scorpec over here would be legal because he is in base contact with the Scorpec Lord. Keep this in mind. Fun fact, these large bases and units help to be able to get more models in engagement range or to be able to contribute in the fight because of this factor. This Scorpec back here is also touching the Scorpec Lord, so he will be able to fight. However, these 2 guys on the outside did not quite make it far enough. So this round, they will not be able to fight in combat. So going into the strike, we will have the Scorpec Lord and 3 Scorpecs. Sounds like a good time. Sounds like a good deal for the Scorpec Lord. And it sounds like they will be able to finish them off quite hastily. And so that is what we will do. We will pick up both of these guys and bring them out of combat. And now they are destroyed. So after we resolve our melee attacks and we eliminate that unit, now we get the option to consolidate. Now, consolidation is again another 3-inch move. except it handled a bit differently this edition. In previous editions, we were able to just move 3 inches, move any direction you want. But in this edition, you have to meet one of 2 requirements. Either moving your models in such a way that they are closer to the enemy, or going towards an objective. And how do we do this, and how is this declared legal? So in this scenario, we're going to move the warriors away for a minute just to make it a little bit visually easier. The score pack are slightly outside of the objective marker. So we are able to move them towards the objective marker. However, in doing so, we must be within range of the objective marker by the finishing of our move. So for the unit, now a lot of this comes into the key wording and how this is. After the unit has finished making all of its melee attacks, it can consolidate. Each time a unit consolidates, you can move each model in that unit that is not already in base contact with an enemy model up to 3 inches. This is a consolidation move. For consolidation to be possible, a unit must be able to end these moves within engagement range of 1 or more enemy units and in unit coherency. So let's start with that first. So in the rulebook, it is stated to move closer to the enemy unit first before going to the objective marker. So sadly, if this unit can successfully make it towards an enemy unit, like these Grey Knight Terminators, they would then not be legally able to take the objective as well, and have to finish their move within 3 inches, within closer of these guys than they were started before. So here is the first way we can get kind of tricky with this. So we're going to consolidate, and we're going to tag this unit, and we're going to take the objective at the same time. And here's how we're going to do so. We're going to utilize these little guys here in the backfield for this maneuver. So now, right now, this score pack is 7 inches from the closest enemy unit. Over here, he would be about 6.5. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this score pack and we're going to move him 3 inches right over here. And that puts, now with that being said, these other ones, 3 inches forward, 3 inches forward, 3 inches forward. These guys are not going to be able to make it into base, but they are able to finish closer, and the score pack Lord to help us maintain coherency. So now from where this score pack was, he was over here, and he was 7 inches away from the closest Grey Knight model. Now, by moving on a straight line, he is able to be 6 inches away from that model from where he was. I know I said 6.5, but got taken into base consideration, which I did not. He is now 6 inches from this model. So he moved 3 inches. His unit moved into base contact and engagement range with an enemy unit, which is legal. That's what they could do, and that's what they should do. So every other model must move 3 inches so that their move ends them within base contact. And if that's not possible, they must end their move so they're closer to an enemy unit. So the score pack went from 7 inches away. Now he is 6 inches away, tagging the objective, closer to the enemy unit, and everyone did everything legally. And that's the first kind of trick with that consolidate. Now, as this breaks down, we're going to go back over to the basics of this in the sense, if the unit is not able to make it within 3 inches, that is when it gets the option to then go into the objective marker, and then they have to finish everything. Everyone must finish their move so that they finish closer to or within 3 inches of that objective marker. Now, that doesn't mean that every model must end there. The unit, once again, this is a unit-specific thing, as stated in the rulebook, that the move must be executed so that the unit ends within range. So everyone else kind of has a little bit of free reign as what they want to do. They still have to move towards the closest objective marker, but how they do so is kind of on them. This guy can go kind of this way. This one can kind of spawn off back this way. Score pack Lord, he'll go right up the middle. And then this guy will also come closer up the middle. But they have options. these guys, if we don't want to get necessarily as close to a unit, maybe the Terminators are further back and it could be a longer charge. Instead, these Scorpex could go 3 inches this way, where their move would end them closer to the objective marker in the direction of the objective marker that they're attempting to take, which is the critical thing, that they're going towards that objective marker, but puts them towards an angle. Now remember, the objective marker is not the entire circle, which I kind of did that a little sloppy there. It is actually in the center, the central piece of it. So the objective marker is in the middle. So these guys would have to go in that direction towards it. But, you know, let's do some math here and do some angle, cut some really cute angles with it. If we started here, we'll push these guys away for a second. If we start here, and we are now currently 10 inches away from the objective marker, and we go this way, well, we didn't go on a straight path right to the objective marker, but we are now 6 inches away from it. So we did go towards the objective marker. And it does not require you to go the maximum 3 inches. It is up to 3 inches. So if you don't want to move the full distance for whatever reason, and there's a lot of them, that is another way around it. Now, we talked about the pile in, the consolidate, and I want to reset everything for a minute here because there's one interesting thing that's changed this edition, and this is something for the veterans. Tell me I'm wrong. Please, because the way I read this right now, this has changed drastically. All right, so before we go into our tricky trick, let's do a quick review. So now we've moved into the charge phase. So we've declared that we're going to charge the single strike marine remaining with the Scorpex. Now this phase, the Necron warriors already charged. So they have declared charge and will now have the fight first buff because they successfully made a charge. Now we declare with the Scorpex. The Scorpex rolled a 7, because that's all we roll here for charges, and they will now charge the Strike Marine. Now, because they only declared the Strike Marine, they are not allowed to come within engagement range of the Terminators that are back here. And although this may seem weird, it's more for the trick purpose that we're going to talk about in the end and how this works. So now, the first thing we must do is move the models. So because of this trick, we're going to move this kind of weird. Follow with me here. So this guy right back here, he's going to move first and go into engagement range. Then we're going to move this model over here in engagement range. So now it is not legally able to get any models in engagement range, and we need to finish so they were closer to an enemy model without being in engagement range of another unit. So we're going to take this guy, and he's going to move here very, very close, and he is going to be in base-to-base contact with this model, so he would technically get to throw in. We're going to scoot this Scorpack Lord. He's going to come all the way over here. Now he is closer. And then these ones over here are just going to scoot up to get closer, okay? Actually, this guy right here, this homeboy, he's going to go all the way over here. He's not able to fight, but considering that he was over here and he was about 5 inches away, now he is 3.5 inches away, so he is legally closer. Okay, now that we've done that, now we have two types of units that are eligible to fight: those who declared charge and those that are in engagement range at the beginning of this fight phase. The units that are in engagement range are the Strike Marine, the Scorpex, and the Warriors. Now, a key point is that this may change during the course of the fight based on consolidation of the pylons. Units can suddenly become within engagement range as it goes throughout the course of the battle because of consolidations, and suddenly become eligible units. Every time you always pass back to your opponent. If they do not have, technically, if they do not have an eligible unit, it comes back to you to then fight a second time, and you keep passing this back and forth until neither one of you has an eligible unit to fight. So your opponent may suddenly gain eligible units as the battle continues. Now, the way this trick works, or the way this trick reads, now we select a unit to fight that has the fight first capability and is during the fight first segment and is an eligible unit. So the first unit that's eligible is the Necron Warriors. because I'm choosing for them to be. So we clean up a little bit of our pile in to bring a couple more guys in, and for all intensive purposes, the Necron Warriors rolled hot, and bam, that Strike Marine is gone. So now what? The Scorpex are allowed to be selected still. They are a unit that is allowed to go into the fight portion of this, or the fight phase, and be selected as an eligible unit to be selected to fight, but they're not within engagement range. So now we go to the pile-in portion of it. So we select them, and they are immediately able to pile in. But they're only able to pile in if the unit is only able to pile in if it is able to end its move within engagement range. Well, suddenly we are. We are able to end our move within engagement range of these Terminators right here. So the whole unit is then able to move 3 inches to get closer. At this point in time, that unit is now allowed to make attacks. So, which models can fight? A model can fight if it is within engagement range or within base contact of a model that's in engagement range. In previous editions, you were not allowed to make attacks on units that you did not declare a charge from. From everything I see, there is no rule that states that you cannot make attacks against units you did not charge. The only thing that stops you is you are not allowed to finish a charge move within engagement range of a unit that you did not declare a charge on. So for all intensive purposes, these Scorpex, they charged, so they still have their fight first buff. And they are going to be able to hit these Terminators that for whatever reason, they were not able or didn't feel safe to get a charge against. Scenarios that this might occur in. You look across and you have a 5-inch charge on a unit, and the Terminators may have been 9 or 10 inches away. So you just go after the 5-inch charge. Suddenly, you roll an 8. So you're able to get around behind that unit and then get another unit in to finish off. Or you have a unit in combat already and you're able to piggyback these. This is something that assault-based armies could use and utilize very, very well by being able to hit with one unit and have the other units continue to barrel forward if they're able to get to another unit that is within 3 inches. Now, if the unit was not able to make the pile in to the Terminators, again, state-based rules, they would not be able to pile in at all. They would not be able to consolidate at all. They would not be able to do anything. Now, if they were close enough to the objective marker, in theory, they wouldn't be able to pile in, they wouldn't be able to fight, but they would still be able to consolidate because it is a 3-step process. Step 1, pile in. Step 2, fight. Make attacks. And step 3, then consolidate. If the consolidation move would actually put them near an objective marker within range of it, they could still theoretically consolidate and move over to it in that consolidation step. However, in this step, we're just going to come smack some Terminators and call it a day. Now, last but not least with all this is when you're actually declaring and making attacks, there are a couple little steps that need to be followed, and just want to make sure that you know into that aspect of what attacks and how you can do this. When you declare a unit's attacks, you must resolve all of one profile before moving on to the next. The reason this is specified is because last edition, it was specified to literally make each attack with each individual model. This would allow things to be that if there was a model with 1 wound remaining, you would attack with a 1 damage weapon, finish it off, to be able to use your high damage profile weapons going into fresh models in that unit. This is not necessarily the way you could do that anymore. There is still some thought to be put into that when you may have tougher targets that may have a single wound left. you may want to still try and go with the single damage first to have that still bigger heavy hitter go to a full fresh model to maximize the efficiency out of those weapons. That is still something very plausible you can do. However, if 5 miniatures in that unit have weapons that all have the exact same profile, key thing is exact same profile, weapon skill, strength, AP, and damage, they would be all used together. So those 1 damage, so if you had a solo character, solo model with a 1 damage weapon, you could try to do that first. And some of the character units might have that. Then you move into the unit of having multiple damage. Now, after you take those pockets and segment those and decide where they're attacking and how they're attacking, one thing that was last edition was that we had the attack characteristic, which meant that you could allocate each individual attack to a different model, which then would theoretically be to a weapon. And I feel myself just getting confusing as I'm saying this. So let's not talk about that. Let's talk about what you can do now. You have to select the weapon that you wish to attack with on the model. For this, we're going to talk about the Scorpack Lord. The Scorpack Lord has 2 profiles that it could attack with. A sweep, as we like to call it, a straight shot, or a sweeping profile. So the straight shot is higher damage, strength 10, AP 3, flat 3 damage. The sweeping profile is usually more attacks at a lower strength, lower AP, lower damage. Now, when I would go to declare the Scorpack Lord, I would declare which profile he's using. Do I go 8 attacks or do I go 4 attacks? For this, we're going to say we're going to do the 4 attacks. We're fighting something big and I want that 3 damage. Now, unlike shooting, in combat, and this is word for word in the rulebook, you can take each of those attacks from that weapon and allocate them to different units. So in the scenario that you charge to multiple units, with those 4 attacks that he has available, he could put 3 on 1 and get brave and put a single attack on another unit. It's completely legal. So remember that when attacking with big monsters into multiple units, that you can separate the attacks. Time frame that you separate it is after you select the profile. Previously, as stated, you would select the attack and select which profile you're using, and this is where it gets kind of messy, because then you have dudes in there that are like, we'll say the Imperial Knights, which have a sweeping, some of them had a sweeping and a stabbing profile with their chainsword. And so it's like, man, those knights are moving like a Jedi because they're able to, they got 3 attacks that are sweeping over here, and then they just crush another model over here. Hey, man, Imperial Knights, I want to watch that on video, how that works. I mean, that's some, like, they're fighting with rapiers and stuff in there, man. That's crazy. Imperial Knights with rapiers. That's going to be 11th edition. Just heard it here first. So that is the combat step. Combat can get very convoluted and complicated. But if you really break it down piece by piece, it's not too bad. In practice, it takes time. Don't be afraid, especially if your opponent is a newer player, or if you yourself are a newer player. Don't be afraid to stop, pull up the sheets, pull up the app, pull out the rule book, and go step by step through the process to get a better understanding of how these movement tricks can work. Don't be afraid to try something and see how it goes. You know, as you and whoever you're playing against are testing these same things, be friendly about it. Be like, hey, I seen something here on a video on Tim's Nation, and free advertising, I gotta love it. But I saw this on this video, and I want to try this out. So I'm going to try to do something tricky here. Let's see if we can follow the rules and see how this works out, and if I can do everything legally. Biggest thing to remember is, when is it affecting the unit, and when does it affect the model? And look for those key discrepancies. And I'll say it many times throughout videos: wholly within, model, unit. Critical keywords for how units can interact in this game. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please subscribe to the channel. Turn on the bell for notifications, get notified on more of this type of content as we talk about this in-depth little tricks and stuff like that. If I got something wrong, please be friendly, be nice, and be in my comment section. We'll talk about it. We'll get this addressed and taken care of. If I have to retract the video, put up a follow-up video, more power to it. I won't retract it. I'll leave it up, but I will post up a follow-up video and I will say really quickly, hey, at this point, this is wrong. This is the way it is. That's one of the reasons I do this. I really do love this game. I love the community, and I just want to help it grow. All right, guys. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you again soon.